Hello, today I'm going to show you how to draw this sunflower. Let's open a new document. Set the stroke to none and the fill to any color that you like. Next, press the letter L for the ellipse tool or select it from the toolbar panel. First, we will create a petal. Click in the center and draw a circle. Now add a gradient of your choice. If you would like to use the same colors as mine, here are their values. Let's duplicate this circle. Now select everything and then go to Pathfinder and choose Intersect. Next we will add curvy lines. Swap the fill and the stroke and change the stroke's color to light yellow. Now select the curvature tool and create two curved lines. Select both lines and increase their stroke to 3 points. Let's select the width profile number 1. With both lines still selected, press the letter O for the Reflect tool or select it from the toolbar panel. Next, press and hold down the Alt key and then click on this anchor point to set the Reflect point. Be sure the axis is set to the vertical position and then click Copy. Let's zoom out. Select everything and group it together. If you like, make your petal a little narrower. Let's move it to the center. With the petal still selected, go to Object, Repeat and choose Radial. Let's align it to the center of our artboard. Next, highlight the number in the radius window and increase the value. We can always adjust it later. Now highlight the number in the Instances window and create about 16 petals. If you wish, go back and adjust the radius a little bit more. Let's create a copy. Press the Ctrl and C keys on your keyboard to copy it and Ctrl F to paste it in front. Now hover your cursor over the corner and rotate it to create another layer of petals. Open the Layers panel and lock the top layer. Select the bottom layer and then double-click on one of the petals. Let's extend the bottom of this bounding box down. Double-click on this petal again and one more time until you get to the gradient layer. Let's add a slightly different gradient. Be sure the gradient is applied to the fill and change the stroke to none. Here is the radial gradient I'm using. Now adjust the gradient's direction so the dark color is at the bottom of our petal. When you are done, click on this arrow several times to exit the isolation mode or press the Escape key instead. Let's lock the bottom layer and create a new layer. Switch to the Ellipse tool and draw a big circle in the center. Now apply a radial gradient similar to this one. Let's adjust the gradient's direction. Lock layer 2 and create another layer. Next, we'll create the center part. First, select the Rectangle tool and draw a small square. Switch to the Eyedropper tool and select the same gradient that we used for the top petal. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Switch to the Direct Selection tool so the round corner widgets are showing and drag them down to create smooth corners. Now rotate this square by 45 degrees. If you wish, scale it up or down. Be sure the small square is selected and then go to Object, Repeat and choose Radial. Select Align to Artboard from the tab toolbar and center it on the page. Now adjust the radius and increase the number of squares to about 27, so there is a small gap between the squares. Experiment with different square sizes and see what works for you. With the small squares still selected, go to Effect, Distort and Transform and choose Transform. Let's set the horizontal and vertical scale value to about 90% and the angle to about 6 degrees. Now change the number of copies to cover the whole circle. Click OK. Let's lock this layer and create a new layer. Next, we'll create these tiny buds. First, draw a small ellipse and place it between the squares. Next, create a small circle on top of it. Let's change the fur to a solid brown color. Select the ellipse and apply a slightly different gradient. Now adjust its direction. I'm going to adjust the bottom shape a little bit more so it is not too uniform. Next, select both shapes and group them together. Let's create a copy. Press the letter R for the Rotate tool or select it from the toolbar panel. Now click on the bottom anchor point and then rotate the shape to the left. Let's move it up. Select the shape on the left and then press the letter O for the Reflect tool. While you are holding down the Alt key, click on this anchor point to create the reflect point. Now click Copy. Select all three shapes and group them together. Let's zoom out. With the shapes still selected, go to Object, Repeat and choose Radial. And like we did previously, align everything to the center. Increase the radius and change the number of instances to about 27. You can always adjust it later. Now rotate the bounding box so the buds fit perfectly between the squares. Let's adjust the big brown circle's edge. First, unlock the brown circle layer and be sure it is selected. Now go to Effect, Distort and Transform and choose Roughen. Now adjust the values. We can always go back to any layer and adjust it. Let's adjust the bottom petals so there is no white areas showing. First, unlock the bottom sublayer of layer 1. Now double-click on one of the petals to open the isolation mode, and let's extend the bottom of the bounding box down. When you are done, exit the isolation mode. Finally, we will add one more layer to the top. Let's create a new layer. Switch to the Ellipse tool and create a big circle in the middle. Now apply a different gradient. Set the right color stop's opacity to 0 and use dark green for the other two color stops. Next, open the Transparency panel. Change the blending mode to multiply and the opacity to about 56%. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.